It tries to force a passage through this hollow canal, and as it rises step by step, as it were layer after layer of the mind becomes open, and all of the different visions and wonderful powers come to the yogi. When it reaches the brain, the yogi is perfectly detached from the body and mind. The soul finds itself free. We know that the spinal cord is composed in a peculiar manner. If we take the figure 8 horizontally, there are two parts which are connected in the middle. Suppose you add 8 after 8, pile one on top of the other. This represents the spinal cord. The left is the Ida, the right is the Pingala. And that hollow canal which runs through the center of the spinal cord is the Sushumna. Where the spinal cord ends in some of the lumbar vertebrae, a fine fiber runs downward, and the canal runs up even within that fiber, only much finer. The canal is closed at the lower end, which is situated near what is called the sacral plexus, which, according to modern physiology, is triangular in form. The different plexuses that have their centers in the pineal canal can very well stand for the different lotuses of the yogi. Shiv R. Jawar describes his Kundalini awakening experience in the physical presence of Swami Muktananda. The arousing of Kundalini is said by some to be the one and only way of attaining divine wisdom. Self-realization is said to be equivalent to divine wisdom or gnosis, or what amounts to the same thing, self-knowledge. The awakening of the Kundalini shows itself as awakening of inner knowledge, and brings with itself pure joy, pure knowledge, and pure love. According to Hindu tradition, in order to be able to integrate this spiritual energy, a period of careful purification and strengthening of the body, including the nervous system, is required beforehand. Yoga and Tantra propose that Kundalini energy can be awakened by a guru teacher, but body and spirit must be prepared by yogic austerities such as pranayama or breath control, physical exercises, visualization, and chanting. Patanjali emphasized that one needs a firm ethical and moral foundation to ensure the aspirant is comfortable with a reasonable degree of discipline and has a serious intention to awaken their full potential. Western awareness of the idea of Kundalini was strengthened by the Theosophical Society and the interest of the psychoanalyst Carl Jung, 1875 to 1961. Jung's seminar on Kundalini Yoga, presented to the Psychological Club in Zurich in 1932, has been widely regarded as a milestone in the psychological understanding of Eastern thought. Kundalini Yoga presented Jung with a model for the development of higher consciousness, and he interpreted its symbols in terms of the process of individuation. The founder of the Aetherius Society, George King, describes the concept of Kundalini throughout his works and claimed to have experienced this energy many times throughout his life. While in a positive, somatic yogic trance state, according to King, despite appearances to the contrary, the complete control of Kundalini throughout the spinal column is one's only reason for being on earth. For when this is accomplished, the lessons in the classroom and the mystical examination are passed. In his lectures titled The Psychic Centers, Their Significance and Development, he describes the theory behind the raising of the Kundalini and how this is accomplished in the context of a balanced life devoted to selfless service. Another proponent of the concept of Kundalini was Gopi Krishna. who wrote a fascinating autobiography entitled Kundalini, The Evolutionary Energy in Man. In the early 1930s, two Italian scholars, Tommaso Palamedesi and Julius Evola, also published several books with the intent of reinterpreting alchemy with reference to yoga. Those works had an impact on modern interpretations of alchemy as a mystical science. In those works, Kundalini is called an igneous power or serpentine fire. One of the most compelling studies of the phenomenon known as parapsychology is remote viewing. The term was coined in the 1970s by physicists Dr. Russell Targ and Dr. Harold Puthoff, who were researchers at the Stanford Research Institute. Their profound findings resulted in a series of military research projects, most notably Project Stargate. Participants included many distinguished remote viewers, such as Ingo Swann, Dr. Hal Puthoff, Dr. Russell Targ, Major Edward Dames, Major Paul Smith, Major General Albert Stubblebine, Tom McNear, and Major General Edmund R. Thompson. Major General Thompson even went so far as to say, "I never liked to get into debates with the skeptics, because if you didn't believe that remote viewing wasn't real, you hadn't done your homework." Remote viewing as an idea of scientific research began in 1970 when U.S. intelligence sources believed that they had unveiled a Soviet Union psychotronic project which had produced fascinating results. In response to these claims, the CIA began funding a new psychic research program known as Scanate, Scan by Ordinate. In 1972, remote viewing research began at the Stanford Research Institute in Menlo Park, California, where subjects attempted to view unknown coordinates from thousands of miles away. Proponents of the research said that a minimum accuracy rate of 65% required by the clients was consistently exceeded, and that viewers could in fact describe contents hidden thousands of miles away. After experimental tests by Indigo Swann, Dr. Hal Puthoff and Dr. Russell Targ were visited by two employees of the CIA's Directorate of Science and Technology. The meeting resulted in a $50,000 CIA-sponsored project, which would later have a major impact on a number of government projects and agencies. In China, there exists an entire handbook, The Secret of the Golden Flower, written on the subject of alchemy and meditation, known as The Separation of the Spirit Body. The book was presented to the West when Richard Wilhelm, a good friend of Carl Jung, translated this text in addition to the Chinese philosophical classic, the I Ching. The book has been described as Zen meditation with details. The meditation technique, set forth in poetic language, describes a formula of sitting, breathing, and contemplating. Sitting primarily relates to a straight posture, while breathing is described in detail, primarily in terms of the esoteric physiology of the path of Qi, also known as Qi or Kai, or breath energy. The energy path associated with breathing has been described as similar to an internal wheel vertically aligned with the spine. When breathing is steady, the wheel turns forward, with breath energy rising and back and descending in front. Bad breathing habits or bad posture or even bad thoughts may cause the wheel not to turn or move backwards, inhibiting the circulation of essential breath energy. In contemplation, one watches thoughts as they arise and recede.